All right, rear window removal. Let's go. First step, if there was a back seat cushion in here, simply lift up the bottom of the front cushion and just slowly wiggle it out. Simple as that. Next step, these tabs here, this one seems to be bent over the opposite direction. I believe they're normally bent that way, but just straighten it out on both sides. That'll release the bottom of the back cushion, and then you can lift the back cushion off of these hooks here and just pull it straight out of the car. You can do all that by yourself. Obviously it'll be easier if you have somebody to help you, but whatever, either way. Next step, as you might imagine, these Phillips screws gots to go. Just go hand with a Phillips screwdriver and pull out these two interior moldings. All right, so we got these inside moldings out here. The next thing we need to do is take an 11/32 socket and unscrew all these little really annoying nuts. And then also back here, there's a stud that holds this molding in place. Take a 3/8 and we'll get this off too on both sides. Side note, a lot of times in parts cars, water will leak in through here and just completely seize up that nut on the stud. And in that case, probably the easiest thing to do is just to snap the stud off, which is going to want to do anyway, in other words. And you can just weld a new stud right on there. There's plenty of material behind this that I think you could weld one on without much problem. So you'll notice when working on these that there's some of these that have these nice holes here, and it's not actually so you can reach a socket through the hole. It's instead to give your socket a little bit of space. However, for whatever reason, there's one on each side that does not have the little hole, and your socket don't want to go. And unfortunately, you basically just have to live with it. The other thing is, these are 11/32. If you do not have an 11/32 socket, a lot of times a 9mm will be good enough. Not for this one, because it's rusted and at an odd angle, unfortunately, but I was able to get all the rest off with just a 9mm. Oh dear, the things I do for cheap Packard parts, sitting on a moving blanket on top of like 500 crushed aluminum cans. Anyway, so next, you remove the nut off that stud and then remove this nut here. Side note, I don't know why it has this piece, which is one of these, but turned around. I don't know why this is here. I mean, clearly it's being used as just a giant washer. I don't think that was anybody's intention at the factory, so don't be surprised if yours looks a little more elegant than whatever this is. Now we can remove this molding from the side here. It doesn't really lock into the weather stripping. It should just come out. Here we go. Perfect. I mean, it does lock in at the bottom, but not... let me clarify. It locks into this molding at the bottom, but it doesn't lock into the weather strip like we've seen in other applications. I don't think that's supposed to come apart like that. Oops. So the other side, I was actually able to remove the emblem intact. Here we go. This is how it was. So we can see that this, whatever, this foam piece was actually held in with a piece of tape from the factory for assembly before it went, to hold it in place before it got put on the car. This is just masking tape here. Also, it's probably obvious, but these things here do need to come out. All you gotta do is take a flathead screwdriver, just kind of pry them and get them out. So the lower molding, of course, we took all those nuts out. The lower molding does not lock into the weather strip. Oh, side note, I couldn't get this nut out, but this thing's so rusted that it just popped off the weather strip. You're not supposed to see that. This one's supposed to come out with the molding just like this stud is. Anyway, so you can just gently work a screwdriver around and kind of get this more and more popped out of there. Kind of self-explanatory because you'll see these studs start to come out, and you can kind of just work all the way around until you slowly get each one out. Whoops, there we go. And then the only thing, of course, to be careful is that you don't put excessive strain on the molding and bend it, but it's really not that hard to be careful and slowly work it until it's far enough out that you can pull it out easily like that. And then once you do, you can pull the end out of the center there. And then once you do the other one as well, the center one will just pop right out. just the slightest of clarifications here. So this stud actually locks into the lower molding, or the, well, I mean, they're the lower moldings, but what I mean is the side lower moldings. And it actually does not lock into the center one here. So this center one, if it's having a hard time staying in, it's because it's not happy with getting clipped onto the actual, you know, large lower moldings. This does not have a specific role in keeping this in place. So if this is giving you problems, check that the curves are correct and they match this. It should snap in place. If not, you can take some putty or some such thing and just kind of start daubing it on there, and it'll stick in place from that. Not huge gobs, of course, but just a nice layer, and it should stick on. To remove the glass, you're supposed to do it with the upper molding still in place, and as I recall, it's not a problem to do that even with original weather stripping. We're going to give it a shot though. So the next step is, and well, as you can see, the headliner is already out of this car, but if it was not, or what am I trying to say? If it was still in the car, you would still have to do what I'm doing now, which is to pry the headliner slightly away from the weather stripping. Oh, and as well, I forgot to mention it earlier, but to get this out, you also have to get the headliner a bit out of position. But as you can see, there are round rubber cords in here, right there. And we want to pop all of those out all along the bottom of the weather stripping. They're in the top as well. Yeah, so all around, all four sides of the weather strip, get all of those, get all of the round locking rubber pieces out. All right, the next step, depending on whether you want to attempt to reuse this weather stripping, spoiler alert, not a good idea, but anyway, the next step is either to run a box knife all through the lower end of the weather stripping, obviously not including this. Then we can get the windshield out. If you want to try and reuse it, then you need to come along in here. All right, what I have been doing is taking my screwdriver and going under all of the weather stripping, both on the inside and the outside, and getting it all loosened up like this so it's not stuck to the car anymore. I think this was my last piece here. The inside, it's kind of hard to do, so you can just kind of get up in each piece, you know, and then twist your screwdriver and move it a little bit, kind of just to get it as loosened up as you can. And then we can see if we push on the glass here. It's kind of hard to do on camera, but we can see the weather strip start to flex. So basically we're just going to push a lot harder and it should pop out by bending the lower part of the weather stripping. Okay, so y'all ain't even gonna believe that I'm telling you to do this, but this is the technique. And keep in mind, I'm doing this on a 45-degree day. So if you're in the sun, should be even easier. Make sure to wipe your feet so there's no rocks or anything on the bottom of your soles. My feet are dirty, but they're not, there's no rocks. And you just want to start, you put, you know, 1 foot on one side, 1 foot towards the middle, and press more on the bottom than on the top, and just push the windshield out. And I'm not going to push anymore because we actually already got it out right here. So really I should have done this beforehand, but you know, glass is halfway out, good enough time to do it now. Is to take your trim tool. I would not recommend a screwdriver. If you use a metal tool, be very careful. Do not just stab it in and move it along, but hold it with 2 hands so that the tip is not grinding on the glass, because that could chip the glass. But just run it along where the glass is, at least on the outside, because this tends to be the really beat up, you know, sun damaged rock hard part that'll stick to the glass. Ideally as well on the inside. and that'll get the weather strip loosened up off the glass so it has some give. As you can see here, it's coming away from the glass up top. Okay, here we are, double foot method in action. I'll show you. It's very hard to see, but get reoriented here. See that weather stripping's popping up? There we go. There we go, boys. It's basically out. All right, now that we have our glass basically pulled out, you'll have to slowly work it down. Once it's out, like past the lower groove, slowly work it down on either side to get it pulled out of this upper groove. Obviously, since the trim's still on it, and it should be still on it, because of that, this rubber is going to feel unusually stiff. And it's fine. You just have to work it piece by piece, you know, a bit at a time on both sides until, you know, the obvious happens and your windshield's all the way out. So to be clear, now this is a little bit too far out to really show this, but you're going to see that the weather strip's going to come out of the windshield and off of the body kind of at the same time, right? It's not only going to come off the body, you're going to see it start to slip out of the windshield as well. For that reason, though I didn't actually have to do it on this car, it can be useful, as I have said before, to take a trim tool and get up under here and make sure this ridge is completely unstuck, and it'll just give you a bit of an easier time. And with that all being said, that's the end of the video. I mean, obviously the glass is out. We just pull it away from the car. One person, if you can reach that far across to the middle of the glass, and 2 people if not. But with that all being said, I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section below. I try and read and respond to all my comments. If you liked the video, please be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more like this. And I will catch you later.